Are we live? Have we gone
No, we're not live.
Is there
We're not
anything live happening?
No, we're dead. Sorry, guys.
I suppose we will find out soon.
We're all gonna die.
Hey guys, it is Real American, the live stream, not the guy. And we're here.
No, he's not here. Tyrone.
He's not here.
And yeah, he's not here. It's you get two bumbling retarded Southerners instead, though. Don't worry, guys. You get a Floridian and a Texan.
Let me do.
Well, actually, you get an.
Let me do the intro. Let me do the intro, Mr. Tyrone. Okay.
He's gonna do the introduction.
Okay, guys, it's Real John Politics, and we need you to share the stream. You need to like it. You need to comment. You need to butter up Rap. He's getting greasy, and he's ready to pop out the other end, but you gotta get him good.
What?
I was staring at the the thumbnail of Ted Cruz with the butter cow, and I was like, that was kind of my problem. I started thinking about Greece. Anyways, look,
Stream's off to a great start already.
But like the stream, share the stream, donate super chats. They go to our greatly oppressed, deeply persecuted Real American. No. But otherwise, we have a lot to talk about today. There's a lot. There was nothing insulting. I feel like you could get greased up with great dignity if you like do it right. Okay. So, anyways, we're gonna have a lot of fun today. Right now we have a couple super chats already. Superior Carolina for 2, hoping Rap is back soon. This host low key sucks. So true, Carolina.
True, yeah. Fuck you, John. You suck.
A glitch Evie for 2. AO WTF. Yeah, no, absolutely. Real John Diddy Politics. Your mom is far right. Yeah, I know she is. Anyways, so we have a lot of people to make fun of. We have Ted Cruz, Zelensky, Randy Fine, a few other people. It's all absolutely garbage. And, you deserve it. You deserve it if you end up being someone made fun of today. Probably not. But everybody's been kind of crazy, kind of bat shit. It's been pretty bad to be on Twitter recently. It's been pretty bad. There's ebbs and flows. It sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it is abominable. We're in the bad times.
Sometimes it's okay, trainee. It's okay, trainee. Sometimes it's okay. I can't get you fully right, but I can get you half right base. Front leaning rest position move.
5 test. I would rather have liberal Lou Costa streams than far right Tucker Carlson backer John. Like, I don't agree with everything Tucker says, but we have to kind of talk about the fumbling. Okay, there was quite a bit of fumbling happening in that interview, and it's worth discussing. And I also just want to talk about specifically the religious obligation that Ted Cruz implied every single Christian listening to this has to support a government over in the Middle East. And I'll try my best to navigate that without going through the censors too badly. But no, at the end of the day, it's just bad. Superior Carolina 2. I don't want to send troops for Iran, but Tucker's nuts. I think like the first time I started thinking Tucker was a little cuckoo was back when like he started talking about UFOs and stuff. And he was like, I think it was attached to him being an Episcopalian or something. And he has had some kind of weird podcast since then. He's definitely going closer in trajectory to Alex Jones type content. Church. Yeah, he's like Episcopalian or something, right?
No, he is just straight up he is, but he's the Episcopal Church. He doesn't really seem too keen on joining any other offshoots.
Okay. No, I didn't think so, which is kind of weird too. I don't know. Anyways, we're not delving into his private religious life, but we do care about his content. Sometimes he has really great interviews, and then sometimes he just like interviews really weird people. Yeah, otherwise.
Didn't he interview Dugan that one time?
Dugan. I do think he interviewed Alexander Dugan. Yeah, no.
Hey Tyrone, what's your thought on Candace Owens telling active duty members to get dishonorably discharged and fighting for Israel? So here's the thing, right? If the United States president says we're gonna go fight, then we're gonna go fight.
Yeah.
If you feel that, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. Once you enlist or like you join the military, period, you take an oath of service to defend the Constitution and obey the orders of the President of the United States, no matter what. Oath of service to defend, and as a service member, obey the orders of the. I will support and sustain whatever the President of the United States wants me to do. But as an individual, I think that's inane. I think that the insinuation there is that somehow Candace Owens clearly doesn't actually understand what goes into that.
Oh no, Candace Owens is a moron.
Yeah, no, she's stupid. If we're gonna go fight Iran, we're gonna go fight Iran, no questions asked. That's what we do as soldiers. That's what we do as members of the armed forces of the United States. Have your personal opinions about it, but you gotta go do it. And even if I disagree with it, I'm gonna go do it, and I'm gonna go do it happily, and I will do it to the best of my ability. And that is just the mindset a lot of people have.
And God bless Tyrone. God bless our troops. And if, like, again, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but it seems like a couple of our regulars, actually just specifically 5 Test, thinks that like I'm an Iran simp. I don't think Tyra, you've known me a long time. Do you think I'm someone that likes the country Iran? You love
Iran. You love Iran. You love the Shah of Iran on The Sopranos.
Oh yeah, no. Hey Tony. Yeah, we're gonna read actually
I compromised. I wanted to fuck a woman. I compromised. I jacked off in a tissue.
American Nerd for 3.
I compromised. I actually off a radiator.
Tyrone, I've got a couple things. American Nerd for 2. Wasn't Tucker's dad a Hunter S. Thompson fan? Not sure about that, but I know Tucker's dad was, working with the federal intelligence agencies. Was he CIA? I think. He was. That's kind of weird history for Tucker, but that also explains why he was like so deeply integrated into the DC system. American Nerd for 3. Hasn't Candace Owens always been crazy? I think she's always been a bored housewife looking for attention, and she realized becoming crazy was her way of getting attention. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think she's nutty.
Yeah, no. I think that they're upset because I made the thumbnail Ted Cruz. But listen, look, we'll get into that in a second. I do have one piece of immigration news that we can go ahead and talk about. So let me go ahead and pull that up. It looks like Miami City Police will now work with ICE to help arrest illegal immigrants. So it's like the last bastion of Florida, the bastion of anarcho-tyranny and total retardation. It has finally fallen. The Miami City Police, which I don't know if you guys know Miami. It's like incredibly horrible. I've never been there myself. Like I never go south of like Orlando, but like, no, Miami is just horrible. It's a hotbed. I had a couple friends that lived there. Extremely violent, extremely dangerous. But now they're going to be getting rid of illegals, which means that it might actually be safe to walk around there in maybe a year or two. I don't know. But yeah, we are very happy about that. We'll go ahead and keep going. Oh yeah, and I wanted to say shout outs to the GOAT across the pond, Rupert Lowe. Basil the Great, this guy was posting, "This week is Refugee Week. How are you celebrating? Images, gifs, and memes only." And Rupert Lowe posted a picture of himself putting migrants on a plane. Oh gosh, yeah. I just wanted you guys to see that. I wanted you guys to see at the top of the hour. Yeah, no. Let's see. Trust me, Miami's fine. The people of Miami-Dade want illegals gone. I believe you. I've just heard horror stories. I've heard of people pulled off the highways and had brutally disgusting things done to them. It just it's at least it used to be very dangerous. Might be better nowadays. But yeah, no. I someone basically like spent an hour last week trying to scare me into never going into Miami. It's pretty bad. Rupert Lowe's a member of Parliament for the United Kingdom. He was part of the Reform Party that's leading in the polls, but what ended up happening was that there's some drama with that. Nigel Farage kicked him out. We can talk about that at some other time on the stream, but at the end of the day, I just really liked seeing Rupert Lowe kicking out migrants. Wanted to see that, guys. Let's see. All right. What do you want to talk about? We have JD Vance here. You want to talk about JD Vance? You want to talk about the Cruz stuff? What do you think?
Let's talk about the Cruz stuff because it seems you got me up to that.
Right. Okay. So Ted Cruz was on Tucker Carlson's stream. Not stream. He did like a confrontation, like it was a premiere video, his podcast. And they released an early clip of it a good bit before they actually posted the premiere yesterday morning. And what ended up happening was like a maelstrom of different people talking about Ted Cruz for a variety of reasons. I went and actually watched the interview, which was called A Confrontation because it was a little heated. And before I say it, to preface, just to kind of like cool down. Luke? Oh, hey, Luke.
How's it going?
We're going to talk about the funny moments with Ted Cruz and Tucker. I wanted to highlight like 4 points of the podcast to talk about. But the first one, of course, that everybody saw that went viral was Ted Cruz being asked by Tucker, very simply, are you able to tell me the population of Iran? You know, the country that for 10 years you have lobbied for regime change, for us to intervene and attack, all these other things.
Yeah, and I saw a bunch of those clips. Yeah, and he had no fucking idea. None of these people have any fucking idea.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he probably thinks it's just another Iraq. He probably thinks, or even Afghanistan. He probably thinks it's just like a small country. He doesn't. I don't think he realizes the size of Iran and how much more of a disaster. Which Iraq, in of itself, that was a massive disaster. But
right.
You think that was bad? Iran has like twice the population, probably more.
92 million people. About a third of them exist ethnic minorities like Azeris, Kurds, Balochi.
Exactly, and it's also twice the size of Iraq as well, and they have a lot more like allies that also directly support them as well. So,
and we heard a lot of people yesterday say, well, who cares if he doesn't know the population? Who cares if he doesn't know the ethnic composition? I have a clear reason for each of those. You want to know the population of the country you're about to overthrow, because when we have destabilized other regions, those people produce refugees that flood into Europe and that find their way into the United States one way or another and create migrant crises all across the world. So we don't want to create a new migrant crisis with turning Iran into basically Syria. So we don't want to do that. And the ethnic composition matters because generally when you have a civil war, factions fall along ethnic lines. So you want to know what ethnicities comprise this nation. How many factions will there be if there's a civil war? Is there someone strong enough to consolidate power? Which is actually an interesting thing that we can talk about with the secular Shah who just talked to Congress. We can talk a little bit about that. But yeah, at the end of the day, very simple questions with very deep implications. And this is the main point. If Ted Cruz has been passionate about this issue for so long, it is imperative for him to understand what he's talking about. I'm not an expert on Iran. I don't think anybody in this chat is an expert on Iran. But I want Ted Cruz, the senator who's advocating for us to put blood, time, money. Yeah, your senator. He should know. He should know. It's really basic. But that was the first thing, and that became viral. And what I will say, Ted Cruz, for like the next 10 or so minutes of the podcast, handled himself relatively well. I would say like relatively well. It was like a conversation intellectuals. I remember actually Walsh was saying the same thing that I thought when I was watching it, which was like, well, I'm actually seeing two ideologies kind of like interact with each other. I think Tucker, in spite of some of his kooky stuff, maybe kind of going into fringe stuff, he is a smart guy. Ted Cruz is a very smart guy. Ted Cruz, though, did make him so. This is the whole thing. The fact that Ted Cruz is smart is why it is astounding that he made himself look very silly in this interview, which is kind of why it's interesting to talk about. Oh, but yeah. Anyways, I'm just reading chat for just a second, taking a look at everything. Oh yeah, Mike Oxford for 2. My Bible says we must bow the Iranians. And so yeah, I'm going to address this real quick and try to address it in a way, because I was thinking about making just a completely isolated video for this. But the reason I felt it was important to address is because if you believe Ted Cruz knows his Bible, he's putting a moral imperative on everyone to have a foreign policy position based off of religious beliefs. He is citing scripture that, and well, Tucker did kind of do like a snarky gotcha with him where they had this back and forth. Ted Cruz says, well, in Bible school, in Sunday school, I was raised that those who bless Israel are blessed and those who curse Israel are cursed. And then Ted Cruz said, where is that in the Bible? And then Ted Cruz says, I can find it for you. Like we can look it up. And Tucker says, it's in Genesis. It's in Genesis. And I want to be fair, like that scripture is true. If you follow the Old Testament narrative, it is true for a very long time, those two things. Although it seems, though, that later on in the biblical narrative in the Old Testament, as Israel is cursing itself by not following the instructions God gave them, they begin cursing themselves. And that's why they're allowed to be held captive by other countries. So biblically ordained foreign policy, prescribed foreign policy, did not seem to cover not letting the Babylonians take over Israel in the Old Testament. But going into the New Testament, when you read Paul's letter to the Romans, and you go through specifically chapters 9 through 11, and I just tell people to read those 3 chapters, not because there's specific verses I couldn't cite, but because it's really important just to understand the full logic of it. And Paul explains in Romans that because Israel, the nation, is a wilted tree, and because Christ has renewed it and redeemed it with himself, that it has been transferred. The nation of Israel is no longer this physical, tangible thing, but it has been transcended into the church, the believers. So anybody that follows Christ, that is now new Israel. And that logic is seen clearly, like deeply clearly in Romans. So as a Christian, if you believe in what the book of Romans says, which everybody likes that book, you believe that the church is Israel. It's not some nation over in the Middle East. It's certainly not the government led by Netanyahu. And even if it was, and even if that really was the thing, like I said, God allowed Israel to be held captive by other countries when they were committing sins and not following his orders and worshiping idols. So I don't understand how we're supposed to like fulfill a bar higher than what God fulfilled in the Old Testament. I don't understand that. I don't understand why bunker bombs need to be used to fulfill this.
All I know, though, is that I forgot who said it, but we had a great intellectual the other day say the only reason America has existed this long is because God is protecting us because we're protecting Israel. And if we were to ever stop protecting Israel, then we're going to collapse, because obviously that's the only reason we're being... I forgot who said that. But one of those people put that. I think it was either Levin or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Thank you, Bill Mitchell.
They make a lot of arguments. Some of the arguments Cruz made, the lesser arguments. Left. Oh yeah, some of the lesser arguments that are made in the process of everything ends up being oh yeah, all of our enemies and Israel's enemies, they're aligned. And like they hate us, which is true. It's very true. The Iranians hate us. I think the Iranian parliament was burning American flags today. I think I saw that on my timeline before we started. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Okay, let me take a look. Ronnie has been a member for 18 months. The New Testament supersedes the Old. Yes, the Old Testament's still important, but right, New Testament logic supersedes Old Testament. That is actually shown in Acts chapter 15, because events that happened in the New Testament actually change our understanding of the Old. I Am Moon has been a member for 17 months. Thank you very much, sir. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, you do not have a religious obligation to protect this state in the Middle East. You do not even have an obligation to protect a specific ethnicity of people. I personally believe, and you don't have to believe this, but on a personal level, I think that the Jewish people will be preserved to the end times. I don't think they will be eliminated by anyone, no matter how much any of these Muslims hate them. But yeah, no, at the end of the day, I think that's not something we do. I think that's something God does. I think God's going to keep them alive. But anyways, another thing Ted Cruz said in this beautiful, beautiful interview, we started kind of talking about the implications of Iran trying to assassinate the president. This was like the third thing that he brought up that I wanted to mention, which was Tucker was making this argument. He was steel-manning himself, and he was saying, listen, if the Iranians are actively trying to assassinate our president, the president of the United States, let's go bomb the shit out of them right now. Let's go intervene right now. Let's not even care. Let's just go bomb them. And clearly, I think he might have different views if it was actually happening. I feel like he would say something different, but he was steel-manning himself in the argument. And Ted Cruz was talking to him about the plots. They had arrested someone last year, if you guys remember, that was tied to an assassination plot by the Iranians. But the details are very scant. Very scant. It does not seem we were able to get a lot of info about hardly anything, but Ted Cruz alleges in the interview that Congress has known for 2 years they're trying to assassinate the president, which I guess I get it because he was a former president last year. But now that he's president again, it doesn't make a lot of sense why, if they are doing that, if there's an active, like, Iranian sleeper cell agent trying to find the perfect moment to eliminate Trump, that sounds horrible. And whether or not they're capable of doing it, we should be intervening in Iran. But the point Tucker was making, he was trying to entrap Ted, and he was trying to get Senator Cruz to essentially admit that he doesn't actually believe that's going on, because Tucker doesn't believe it's going on. And the reason he doesn't is because he's extremely skeptical of DC and everything. I'll ask you guys, do you guys think that the Iranians are currently trying to assassinate the president?
Absolutely.
No.
I would not be surprised if they were trying to do that in any capacity. Always assume your enemies are up to something.
Well, yeah, no. Do you think that? Do you agree, disagree, or do you think Tucker's kind of being silly in that position that he tried to create to entrap Senator Cruz?
I think it's a bit of a stretch, but I understand where he's coming from with that.
I don't know, the way I see it, I don't know, maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but I just think it makes me very suspicious. All of the people who are saying that they're trying to assassinate Trump are the same people who are saying, and this is why we need to strike Iran to like save Israel. So that's the main reason I'm like very fishy.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, go ahead. That was...
What the fuck? Oh, you're kidding me. My audio literally just died.
All right. Well, while we're waiting for Tyrone to get his audio back together, I'm going to read some super chats.
I have to restart my audio. Fuck off.
All right. K-Cup for 5. Iran burns the American flag. Netanyahu, come on, Mr. Trump. Go get him. Trump. Easy, Ben. Let him have their moment. All toddlers have tantrums. Exactly. And K-Cup, if somebody really wants to know what I feel, if anybody wants to read my timeline and actually know how I feel about Iran, it's like they're children. They're disgusting, despicable, evil children. That's how I view them. And if you like read anything, I've been calling them stupid almost the entire past 2 weeks. Like I'll just pull up something they said. It's really stupid. With that stupid AI video, it was disgusting. I told them to log off. I told them to resign. Like the Iranian government is full of evil retards. That is my personal opinion of them. Let me do a couple more. I'll let you talk, Tyrone, but let me do the other super chats. American Nerd for 10. Hot take. The only reason evangelicals are supportive of Israel to the point of near worship is that they see the name Israel and immediately think of the same Israel in the Bible. It's part of that, American Nerd, but it's actually partially paid for. We have people go read Megan Basham's book on subversion in evangelical churches. Look up Megan Basham. Her book explicitly shows the money trail that is funding people and pastors to be trained to subvert evangelical and non-denominational believers. They're changing what we believe. And it's not just stuff like with Israel. It's like getting us to accept LGBT ideas. It's getting us to accept environmental regulations. It's a bunch of things. So I definitely highly recommend Megan Basham's work on it. Mike Oxford for 5. I'm going to go broke, but I need to bring up that the US UK mill complex created the funny state as a Mideast FOB, calling it Israel to use religion as a scapegoat. I think they would have called it Israel regardless of who set it up.
We're going to call it Israel regardless. So here's the thing a lot of people need to understand about the modern state of Israel. The modern state of Israel was not created by some military-industrial complex thing. The state of Israel was created at a lot. Okay, how do I say this? The state of Israel, as we know it, was originally created as a socialist utopian experiment, and I'm not saying that as some kind of demagogue. I'm saying that objectively speaking, if you go look at their first presidents, their initial military leadership and such, they were hardcore socialists and communists who were Soviet Union expats or coming from America after fleeing Nazi Germany. And the whole idea was to create a secular socialist state that was also basically an ethno-religious state. And that is why they didn't get along with the Arabs, other than for theological reasonings related to, Abraham and the covenant. Because if you're unaware, Muslims believe that it was Ishmael and not Isaac who Abraham was supposed to sacrifice, and the covenant was supposed to be fulfilled through Muhammad as a descendant of Ishmael. But I don't really have much to say on other than people should really go read up on that, because that's very, very interesting lore people need to keep in mind when it comes to Israel and why they do a lot of this shit that they do.
Yeah, bottom line, like, this cult was going to exist regardless. Do we need to have the discussion that the United Kingdom is to blame for a lot of this starting, and then later the US? Yeah, sure. We face fault in a lot of this creation, which is part of why we're involved in it. But Olivia Williams for 2. You guys aren't host material. When is rap back? Tyrone, where the crap? I don't know why I'm censoring myself. But when is rap coming back? When are you bringing rap back? Where'd you put him? Where'd you put him?
I have a bomb strapped to my chest.
I also have some very sad news for people. Starting next week, I will also be uploading content and streams to the channel. So that's
amazing.
Some bad news.
Amazing.
Yeah. Rap told me yesterday that next week. So
very cool. Look forward to some Luke streams. Luke, before you showed up, we had some chatters telling me that I am a piece of hot garbage and that they need real China politics on this channel. Okay? And so they were asking.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna have a whole 30-minute video on how Tibet separatism is a joke. I'm also gonna have a whole anti-Taiwan rant. It's gonna be great.
You really are leaning into the full right-wing malice bit, aren't you?
Yep.
Okay.
Honestly, I really respect it.
American Nerd for 5. It's very possible that let me read the super chat, okay? It's very possible that Iran is trying to assassinate Trump. However, it shouldn't be the only reason to go to war with Iran, especially without proof. Right. No, so that's the main thing. I think that if there was a bunch of evidence and all of this was happening, I too would want us. I don't think I would want us in a protracted war, obviously, but I probably just want us to bomb them for a week or two until they cried and begged us to stop, and then maybe put it into that there. Like, I don't know, but it seems very obvious that trying to murder the president is justification for not having some bad things happen. So yeah, I'm not an isolationist. I'm not a pacifist. If we ever end up having things heat up in the South China Sea, Luke's not going to like me. But yeah, no, it's at the end of the day, we just need to see it. We need to see more evidence. It's been very cloudy. And honestly, I kind of agree with Tucker. I'm a bit skeptical of it. I do believe that they're doing it. They're just kind of clowns, and maybe that's Ted Cruz's point.
That's the thing with Iran.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Iran. They're inept. To get back to what I was trying to say originally, Iran is inept. They're absolutely trying to do shit to try and constantly undermine us and hurt us as much as they can. But they're just idiots. And quite frankly, I'm completely okay with an American intervention in a war with Iran as long as there's no boots on the ground. If it remains purely restricted to air support, as in we're just going in with B-2s to drop bunker busters on their nuclear capabilities, there's no fucking issue with that. That's not... Sure, that's technically Trump dragging us into a war, but using air assets to tactically neutralize a near-peer threat's potential nuclear capabilities, and by proxy, our greatest near-peer threat, is vastly different than going to the international court and saying, Saddam Hussein has biological weapons, and I'm upset my daddy didn't kick his teeth in harder. Let's immediately deploy a United States task force group to do a violent regime change. These are two massively different fucking things. I am completely fine with the President of the United States declaring war on Iran as long as our involvement is purely logistical, financial logistical support in nature, and potentially just B-2 bombers going in to fuck up their nuclear shit. Because the more we mess up Iran in the meaningful capacities, the less China has to rely on them, especially with nuclear energy.
Well, right. And something that really struck me when I was listening to the interview yesterday is precisely that, being absent. That's the thing. Whenever I listen to the advocates for war discuss what they would do to Iran, there's an idea, a premise, like the thing we would do at the beginning, but it's just like what we did when we went in and intervened in Ukraine. Let's throw money at the problem. Let's throw munitions at the problem. Let's do all these things. And then, the goals, other than, let's get rid of their nuclear stuff, the goals beyond that are extremely obscure. And the problem with that is that I think that there has to be a plan, a strategy for how do we keep the region stable? If we are regime changing, what are we regime changing to? Like how are you going to keep everything from blowing up? How are you going to take care of the rebel government when it goes into the mountains? Like those are the things that I care about. I don't care about the incredibly evil people staying in power in Iran. What I care about is us having a plan. I care about us not wasting lives. What I care about is the region not being destabilized for a really long time. And I care about American domestic policy not being hurt by an Iran that can no longer deploy oil. Like it can no longer sell oil, and it messes up the entire global market. There are a couple benefits, but they're outweighed by the demerits of it in my mind when I do the calculation.
We don't even need to strike Iranian oil fields. You know what would happen if we take out Iran's nuclear capabilities? Mm-hmm. And we already have if we go and thoroughly embarrass Iran and say, no, you're not allowed to have nuclear power, and that's literally it, and the Israeli attack dog we have and our own forces pull back and we are restrained, which I think Trump is capable of doing, Khomeini and the IRGC would be so thoroughly delegitimized, there probably would be an organic, homegrown movement to overthrow the government. And if there is an actual if there is a regime change and they are not instantly hostile to the West, that is instantly going to increase. That's going to instantly make like that by itself will open up all the oil fields in Iran, which is going to make shit more expensive for China, which is already a tactical victory in of itself. China's not going to be able to just buy Iranian oil for the cheap. Iranian oils are going to actually have to compete with Texan, with Venezuelan, or they're going to have to compete with American, Venezuelan, other Middle Eastern oil. That's already going to be massive economic pressure on China. We don't need to go in and start bombing Iranian oil fields. We just need to take their nukes out. Not their nukes. We need to take their nuclear facilities out if we do get involved. Which, again, I want to reiterate, I do not think America should get involved in this whatsoever. I think Israel is entirely capable of handling Iran. But I am simply saying, if we do get involved, all we need to do is bunker bust some underground nuclear facilities.
Right.
And everything will follow from there. At the very worst case for us, Iran, the Islamist regime continues to stay in power, but they're so thoroughly proven to be pathetic. No one even China doesn't take them seriously.
All right. And I just want you guys to think about this. Like, if you're thinking about this in terms of being pro-Trump or being anti-Trump, we're all pro-Trump here. And what I want to say is that Trump is doing this same... Except, well, Luke, depending on how this turns out, Luke will be pro-Trump. No, but at the end of the day, Trump is doing this same analysis, risk-benefits analysis in his head that we're discussing. And we don't get to choose what decision he makes, but this conversation that we're having, a much better, articulate, rhetorical version of it, is happening between our brilliant cabinet members, and the President Trump is listening, thinking, waiting. If he had already made up his mind on what he was going to do, I genuinely feel like he already would have done something. I really think that he is weighing this out in his head, waiting for the last possible second of possible diplomacy before he does that. So yeah, I just want you guys to give respect to our president for that. I really do feel like he is giving due diligence to this issue. Let's see. American Nerd for 2. I thought Israel was created because of what Germany did. The Israeli people, the Jewish people, started flooding into that area before all of this started in World War II. It wasn't that many, though. Wasn't as many as came after. After World War II, we had a bunch of refugees in United Kingdom, United States, a bunch of other Western countries.
For people to learn that the Jewish mandate for Palestine had already existed during and after World War I. They were already beginning to flood that area. They just gained independence after World War II due to American enforced British decolonization efforts.
Right. So it was already starting before the war, but then after the war, there was a mass influx, and they decided, the United Kingdom decided it was going to be this way. And the United States, and then the United Kingdom was having trouble handling the region, and we kind of passed off a lot of the stuff to the UN, and which means the United States. And up to then, it's been our mess. No, it was not Germany that started the whole project. Actually, you can find newspaper clippings from the late 19th century of like kind of a bunch of fervent, devout Jews kind of coming into the public in multiple countries, Russia and a bunch of other places, talking about, yeah, we should just go and do it. Just go make the Israeli state again. Inari for 5, Michael Lofton on his channel, Tucker v. Cruz. Israel's inheritance is dependent on obedience to God. I present to you a secular state. I mean, yeah, that's a good argument. It's not the exact argument that I would make, but I will give credit to Lofton there. Yeah, it's if you're not obedient to God, then you're not inheriting it. And that was the same thing that Jews understood. They understood that the non-faithful are essentially reprobate in that sense. They're not inheriting the things that the faithful Jews are. So that was understood in Jewish faith prior to Christianity. But yeah, that's one part of it. The other part of it is simply, it's not the nation of Israel anymore. The nation of Israel is the church. Okay.
The third temple is the church.
Yeah. Populist nationalist, base John Rose for life. Thank you. I needed my ego inflated. There's so many haters today. I need the ego inflated. No, I'm kidding. Daily Bod for 20. both Tucker and Cruz are morons. Their families have shady ties, never trusted them. I totally get that. I get looking at Tucker's dad, looking at Cruz's life, and just kind of being skeptical. And I think that's a healthy thing. I'm going to say, Dillybot, that's a very healthy attitude.
Femboy profile picture. Shut the fuck up, Thomas Massey.
Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah, no, it's healthy to be skeptical of people. Don't believe everything people are saying. But in my personal capacity, I look for interesting interviews. And I think that's the way I describe Tucker is like, he's not some sort of like thought leader. He's not this like massive guy. He did help Trump get elected last year, so you have to give him credence for that. He was a big part of getting Trump elected. But he's more so just an authentic journalist, which means don't believe everything he says. Don't believe everything his guests say. But you can probably hear some interesting conversations if you're looking out for them. Olivia Williams for 2. You were like, David Carlson, smart, but no star power. Thank you, Olivia. American Nerd for 3. Iran is really testing F around and find out right now. Yeah, I got really upset about that. I was yelling at Iran yesterday because it's like their state media is saying that they are like devoted to diplomatic solutions. If you were devoted to diplomatic solutions, Iran, just like beg and cry and get on your knees and give up now. Please, for the sake of everyone, for the sake of our people, for the sake of your people, just shut up, get on your knees, beg the most powerful man in the world to put an end to all of this. And agree to whatever he tells you to do. That is all you have to do. So yeah, no, I really think they will find out soon if they do not stop effing around.
Get on your knees, slave.
Please get on your knees, Iran. Mike Oxford 2. The facility is deeper than even we can penetrate. I don't know about that. I legitimately don't know about that. It sounds like Tyrone. Do you think we're able to take it out?
Absolutely. They are no more than 100 meters deep, and we have bunker busters capable of going far beyond that. It is incredibly feasible. Unless you're telling me Iran somehow has superior subterranean drilling and mining technology, which they absolutely fucking don't.
Right. American Nerd for 5 knocked down the door and the regime falls. Essentially,
that's more or less what I think. They've been on a tight rope for quite a while now. Well, that's an actual geopolitical blunder on their end, especially one being broadcast this publicly by the regime, could be a death spell for them if it goes wrong.
I genuinely hope that's true. I'm a little bit more cautious and a little bit more, I guess, neurotic about that assessment. Because if it's not true, if it's not correct, then that is bad. But I mean, based off of like the stuff they've been posting, I feel like they feel so weak to me from like an outside perspective. So I'm feeling like I agree with that, but I am very scared if that's not the truth. I'm just scared about getting blight. Also, I am also scared of just when it falls down, what happens next. And that is the big problem. I think I would respect Senator Cruz and everybody else talking about this, Mark Levin, everyone else, if they had a better idea of what was going on. A lot of them just seem to think, oh, yeah, we'll just put the seculars in charge. Free Iran, blah, blah, blah. Well, can you talk to me about the seculars and their relationship to the other ethnic minorities? Can you talk to me about their capacity to hold power? Because, I guess we'll go ahead and talk about that. Let me pull up the Shah real quick. Someone at the start requested that we talk about...
Again, I love his performance on The Sopranos.
Yeah. Anyways, so Reza Pahlavi, he's a bit of a figurehead and leader of the secularists in Iran. He actually made an address to a bipartisan group of members of the House of Representatives. I'm not going to read his full remarks, but I want you to hear a little bit of what he said. The Islamic Republic, a regime that has waged war against my people for 46 years and has persecuted Christians, Jews, I'm not going to pronounce that, and Muslims alike, is the Baha'i. Yeah, I can't pronounce. Is in the final stages of collapse. Its leader has retreated underground while using my people as human shields. The regime's grip on the country is unraveling. What we are witnessing is not a political shift. It is a spiritual and moral reckoning. And so he's saying that the regime is falling. He's saying he wants to take place. He doesn't want to be monarch for life. He wants to lead a transitional government to democracy in Iran. And he is promising a free Iran will be pro-American, that it'll cooperate with Israel, which I totally believe. I think he actually has family ties to Israel. At the end of the day, the important thing to me, which made me like the Shah, regardless of what
Calvin
he's
Coolidge
actually
just tweeted.
Regardless of what the Shah, yeah, go ahead and check that for me. Regardless of what the Shah is capable of doing, I like the Shah because he specifically told us this. Let me be clear. Standing with us does not require your troops, and it does not require your tax dollars. It does not require another endless American war in the Middle East. Indeed, that is exactly what we're trying to stop. So he's really selling me there. If he has some way to take power, take control of the army, take control of everything, and lead the government into a transition to a different government, and there's like not like 4 or 5 countries fractured, there's not like a balkanized Iran. If he's capable of doing all of that without our intervention, awesome. I love you, buddy. You know, come hang out in the White House. Come hang out over here. I'll shake your hand. I guess I can't show like allegiance to another country's leader, but I'll be like very happy with you. My best friend, the Shah of Iran. No, but I think that's the main thing. I don't think we necessarily, some people dislike the Shah because they don't think that he actually represents the Iranian people, which I think is a little silly. They're like talking about him being like a British plant. He's like not truly Iranian. He's not truly Persian. I don't know about that. It sounds like a lot of, I hear third worldism in my head when I hear that. But yeah, no, it's just about what he's capable of doing to me. What do you think? Would you like it if he was capable for the Shah to transition the government to something else, Tyrone?
Say that again. Sorry, I was reading the news.
Would you like, because you were talking to me before the stream about this, what are your thoughts on the Shah of Iran trying to, like, if he was able to get power? This is all under the theory.
The Shah of Iran would be an objective upgrade. He would be an objective upgrade. I have some pretty harsh words for him. I know from people who I know that also know him personally, he is a bit of a cuck and not necessarily the strongest, most convicted person, but there's a benefit in of that where he is fairly universally adored by the Iranian people, and he probably would be neutral enough to put together some kind of transitional neutral government and cooperate with the West to get something going.
Right, yeah. And I see Grape in here saying he wants a referendum on whether Iran will be a monarchy or a republic. I don't know the full details, but in this statement, he's saying he wants to be a transitional leader to a democracy. Which maybe that's what he means. Maybe he wants them to vote on like a constitutional monarchy versus a republic or a democracy, whatever. Anyways, the important thing to us is he capable of doing it? I think that's the only thing that matters to me. If he can do it, I'm fully behind him. I'll say that. If he's able to show he's capable of taking over the government, Shah has my full endorsement. Not saying that he's like going to be the best leader in the world, like Tyrone's saying. He's just going to be way better than what they have right now. American Nerd for 5. If the regime in Iran falls, what do you think happens in Venezuela, Cuba, China, Nicaragua, North Korea, and Russia? That's a very long list of countries, so maybe we'll talk about that later, but not right now. Let's see.
Mr. Business D for 5. Wuthering Waves gameplay stream win.
You think he's asking me? If you want me to stream Wuwa, I'm not gonna do it on this channel. This is Rap's channel. You have to go over to my tiny channel, whatever it's called, Maga Wizard, John Rose. Go look me up.
Or you can join John's Discord channel and just get in voice chat.
That is invite only, but if you want an invite to my server and you're a cool dude, you can send me a DM or at me on Twitter, at Real.
Or at me on Twitter.
Or yeah, if you want, Tyrone usually like throws people in my server without telling me. So if you want to get in, you can do that. K-Cub for 2, is Iranian democracy a threat to our democracy? No, it'd probably be really good, be really positive. It would help us with Chinese negotiations. If Iran was more pro-West, I don't see anything but upsides to Iran being a democracy, other than the fact that like democracy in itself is unstable. I think that's the only problem. And also they probably might just start adopting some Westisms, but with a new America and a new America with a different type of foreign policy, maybe we wouldn't make them as gay as all of the other places that we make democracies. Who knows? It's a brand new world. Let's see. Correct mode for 2. Every time Rap leaves, shit hits the fan. Yeah, no, as soon as he turns off the stream, that's when the stuff comes up. You guys know that. But yeah, taking a quick look. Yeah, that was everything I wanted to talk about with the Shah. I think we're giving pretty positive comments to the Shah. He's saying everything that I would want the Shah to say. It's just about action.
Shah of Iran. My favorite Shah of Iran line was what he said he did 20 years in the can.
Okay. What did he say?
20 years in the can. I wanted to fuck a woman.
Oh,
I compromised. Okay. I jerked off in a tissue.
I only watched the first season of The Sopranos. I have to watch more of it, okay? We have to watch more of The Sopranos, guys. Hey, Mike, what did I miss? We were talking about Ted Cruz. We were talking about some of the faux pas in his interview with Tucker Carlson. Again, I want to say I did do a little bit of sensationalism with the thumbnail. Ted Cruz is a smart guy. He's probably smarter than Tucker. We're just going to be honest. But because his positions were kind of indefensible, it was hard for him to really handle that well. And yeah, but anyways, we're going to go ahead to other topics. I might come back to the donation stuff that Cruz talked about, but let's go ahead and take a quick look. I did want to let you guys know, JD made a Bluesky account. Did you guys see this yesterday? This was absolutely hilarious to me. So he posted about 5 p.m. Just set up my page on Bluesky. Hope to see you guys there. And the first thing he chooses to do at 4:50 yesterday, he talks about a court case on the transgenderism. I believe it's the Tennessee case that came up to the Supreme Court.
Yep.
Yeah. And so he talks about Justice Thomas's concurrence on medical care for transgender youth. It's quite illuminating. He argues that many of our so-called experts have used bad arguments and substandard science to push experimental therapies on our youth. I might add that many of those scientists are receiving substantial resources from Big Pharma to push these medicine on kids. What do you think? So yeah, no. The funny thing here was that a couple minutes after doing this, I think he lasted about 20 solid minutes on this platform and then got banned. He got banned from Bluesky by a mod. The Jannies were upset. The Jannies couldn't take it, so they took him out. And then obviously the sitting vice president being banned from your website doesn't actually improve the traction of your website, so they reinstated him later. And then like he had, what was it? Let's take a look here. Yeah, JD Vance gets suspended from ex-competitor Bluesky 12 minutes after first post. So he only lasted 12 minutes, not 20. 12 minutes on that absolutely abominable app. And then here, yeah. JD got 30,000 blocks on Bluesky when he first went on there, which is amazing. It just shows you how deranged these people are. And I could pull up the chart, but I'm sure you guys all know Bluesky's dying. Bluesky has been dying. It's down to like half of the website traffic it had a few months ago. It is abominable. These people
It was really just a short-term thing, though, for people who are coping with the Trump election. And like after that, I think it was like a one-time social media app. I think like it wasn't gonna last. Maybe now when Republicans win elections, it's just gonna like spike every once in a while. But outside of that, it's pretty much gonna be dead.
I It could stick around and be like a Gab or something where like none of us use it. Nobody that you meet uses it, but there's some like kind of weird people use it.
Well, no, I don't think it's gonna die. I think it'll still exist, but it's only gonna really spike when like an event happens, like an election where the left loses. Like that's the only time I think you're really gonna see it spike.
Yeah. USA Inferno was saying banning JD proves people's assessment that Bluesky is nothing more than an obscenely censored X. Yes, obscenely censored. And at the end of the day, it was just really, it's actually 2017 X, 2017 Twitter. That's really all it is. They turned back the clock. They got their Jack Dorsey mass banning sprees. That's all Bluesky really is. Littered with bots and cheese pizza. Oh, yeah, no, that doesn't sound good. They should. I've heard a little bit about how horrible it is where they hide cheese pizza on all sorts of social media. I hope that we find a solution to that very soon, and then whoever was responsible has the most horrible thing happen to them. That's my desire. Okay. But yeah, that's JD on Bluesky. It's pretty fun. I wanted to talk to you guys about this a couple days ago, just because I think it's funny and we need to make fun of people. Zelensky, during the G7 summit, started like flurrying out tweets over and over and over again. And this is an article by a guy that I really like listening to, specifically European and Russian stuff, Andrew Korybko. But he was like pulling out all of these things Zelensky was saying while he was being ignored. Everybody else was talking about stuff like with Iran and trade deals and important things. And he just was looking for another 40 billion, man. Where's my 40 billion? I need to burn another 40 billion. So it was kind of having trouble. Zelensky fired off a dozen paragraphs in his latest tweet storm on Saturday afternoon that can be read in full here. He demanded imposition of more sanctions against Russia's banking and energy sectors, complained about the warm tone of U.S.-Russian dialogue, expressed worries about reduced aid, fear-mongered about Russia's military-industrial complex, pushed back against claims that he's oppressing Russians, Russian speakers, and Russian Orthodox Christians. He is clearly panicking. So beyond all the crap that he's saying, because like he's just probably saying a bunch of nonsense, what do you guys think about like Zelensky in the corner while everyone's talking about Iran and talking about, trade deals, and he's just like in the corner, like yelling for more money? How do you feel about that?
I think it's very funny. It's almost like everyone's just forgotten about him. It's funny. Like he used to be this shit. Everyone used to be like running to him like he was some generational Churchill type leader. And now like everyone's just ignoring him because like Iran's happening. Everyone's trying to get the trade deals done. Nobody cares about him. It is kind of funny that that's what he's been relegated to, and it was kind of inevitable eventually. Like he was never going to be able to keep that star status forever. Especially with a change in leadership in America.
I absolutely agree. I think this was inevitable, and this is inevitable when a conflict goes on. Look, this has been going on for 3 years now, and it's been in the news because we got a new president that's treating the situation differently. But people are going to stop caring about you, Zelensky. And I'm not saying that like with an apathy towards your people that I think you're treating very poorly. I genuinely think that you don't understand the gravy train doesn't last forever. People have different projects. They're going to move on. You have given up and sold most of your country to like various different European countries and us. What is there left? It's like it's kind of like when you see a really old woman who obviously spent a lot of her time in bad industries, and she's old, nobody wants to use her anymore. That's what I think of when I look at Zelensky. I look at a worn out whore. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube?
Yeah, you are.
No, okay. But, no.
Don't ask, am I allowed to say this on YouTube? Ask. Do I give enough of a fuck to say this on YouTube?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Anyways,
ask about what YouTube can do for you. Ask what.
If Rap's channel gets banned, just blame it on me. He'll probably think. Just say
true.
I uploaded a video about Tibet and it got banned. Like
I'll do that. Yeah, absolutely. Zelensky is not look great. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Daniel. K-Cub for 2. If Bluesky is 2017X, the pizza better be boneless. Yeah, that's true.
I will say though,
Yeah.
guys, that is foreshadowing. Stay tuned for my video next week about the Dalai Lama's many scandals. It's gonna go hard. Yeah.
Okay. I
Go
actually
on.
do have a little bit of election news for us to cover, which might be a little bit more up the rap audience's alley. Tyler Englander posted on X, John Reed tells reporters he hasn't heard from Winsome Sears, who is the current candidate for Virginia governor. He says he's disappointed, but adds he too will run his own race. So we have this another incident of Sears not reaching out to the people on the ticket, not cooperating with people. Guys, we want you to understand this is a pattern of behavior where she's connected to all these other people, whether it's campaign fundraisers, political PACs, just people in her staff. She is not sending out proper emails. She's not actually coordinating with people. It really feels like, and I said this on X earlier, she's phoning it in. She's phoning in the race. And I'm sorry, but when a race is really
I've just
tight,
got one question. Why does Virginia happen to be the one state in the country where governors can't just seek re-election, like, directly? Because, dude, if Youngkin was able to run again, we'd be winning this race easily, you know?
right?
Like,
And I
think
think
about that.
I don't think it would be even that hard for. I think Youngkin could, to a certain extent, phone it in if he was running for re-election. I really think he could.
Well, yeah, it would just be like a New Hampshire race all over again. Yeah, he's got like a 60% approval rating right now, and he'd be running away with this thing.
Which, yeah,
And Sears too technically has a positive approval. I saw a poll the other day. She was like +2. The problem is that she's at like 42% approve and 40% disapprove. So she's not really known by people, which is the
yeah.
issue. If you're not known by people, you have to make yourself known, you know? And that's not what she's doing.
She's not making appearances in at the frequency she should be.
So it's not even
Yeah,
like she's unpopular. It's not like she's hated. She isn't. It's just no one knows who she is, and she refuses to introduce herself. So if you're not introducing yourself, people are just going to vote for the other person. Or, more likely than not, they're just not going to turn out for you. So,
right. So hopefully, we don't want a Democrat governor in Virginia. So hopefully this all changes. But as for right now, if this is going to be the campaign between now and Election Day, I do not see it turning out well for Virginia Republicans. And everybody I know in Virginia says basically the same thing. So I don't feel bad in saying that. So yeah, that is the news.
so if you go up to the northeast a little bit, Jack is doing the complete opposite strategy. He is working his ass off to try to win this thing. So,
yeah, Jack in New Jersey. So we don't have to say his last name because I don't like saying his last name. But Jack in New Jersey doing a great job. Spectacular.
Jacking off in New Jersey.
Yeah, we are going to be seeing Republicans jacking off in New Jersey. That's something in our future.
Tony Soprano is a registered Republican, by the way.
Yeah, no. But those were the things I wanted to touch. Did you have anything to say about that particular situation in Virginia, Tyrone?
No, not really. I mean, I haven't been following Virginia too much. The moment when some Sears was announced as the candidate, I just went, nah, it's over.
Yeah, well, I don't think you were necessarily alone in that. Going forward, though, that was most of what I wanted to talk about. I will go back and talk about Cruz just a little bit more. There was one last thing I wanted to mention.
I'm going to head out, though. But yeah, it was nice being on.
All right, later.
Sue.
Yeah, and
There
stay
was-
tuned for my videos next week. They're going to be goated.
Right. So I did want to talk about the financing part. And that was the last thing I wanted to mention about Cruz's situation. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that. I'm just going to pull this one back up. I by the way, the reason I pulled this up, if you don't understand the irony of this is a guy quote tweeting and ratioing Cruz. The reason I find this humorous is because Ted Cruz prided himself in like his own podcast, which I listened to, by the way. I listened to his podcast when he was first coming out with it. He was talking about being a massive sci-fi nerd, talking about how much he loved it. It was interviewing Elon. He was talking about being a massive sci-fi nerd. And he used that to try and make like an AI Ghibli cartoon about equating Iran to the Death Star. Again, with that actual argument, by the way, the problem is not equating the Iranian government with a nuke to being dangerous. The problem is that there's 90 million people and a very important oil market that we are trying to keep from blowing up. So we want the oil to keep flowing, and we want the people to not be brutally murdered and brutally murdering each other. I mean, if they do it on their own, that's one thing. And we just kind of look at it from afar and be like, oh, well, that's sad. But, you know, the more that we're involved in it, the more kind of complicit we are in what's going on, which is part of why I don't want to be involved in it. I think that they are inevitably going to have some bloodshed over there whenever they do it. But, you know, that's kind of the hopium with the Shah. If the Shah somehow has some miracle way of taking over everything and he doesn't need U.S. support, like U.S. troops or anything to like gain power, okay. You know, I just need to see his like how he's going to do that. But if he does that, that's cool. It's just a matter of, can he keep control of the country? Who's going to oppose his transitional government? We want peace. That's like the bottom line. You guys don't have to agree with me, but understand that I'm not a pacifist. I'm not a non-intervention, not necessarily a non-interventionist either, depending on the region of the world we're talking about. It's just, I want to make sure that our hands are clean. And I also want to make sure that everything keeps moving smoothly. I don't want our domestic policy to be affected by this. Anyways, so the irony of this post was just that this guy, Ted Cruz, is being one-upped in his geekiness, which was his like personality, by this other guy. Real Star Wars heads know that in Shield of Lies, Luke reveals he has memorized the exact number of people he killed on the Death Star and their stations, and that the weight of it stays with him constantly. Loser. And I just laughed at it. I was like, man, he got out-geeked, bro. He got out-geeked. Yeah, no. That interview was embarrassing by Cruz. Tucker had some bad moments too. Yes, I do agree. He was being kind of a snarky jerkwad in a couple of its. I'm being extremely censored right now. Must have been. I think I'm under the influence of something. Cruz proved everyone right in thinking he's a neocon bozo. I don't agree with that. When you go back a couple years and you go to those, especially the Senate hearings where he's talking about the children, you see his like stance on immigration. He went as far. He went pretty far on admonishing and scolding the Biden administration for their poor handling, for letting children go missing, go be murdered. And honestly, I had a lot of sympathy for Ted Cruz last year because he got essentially abandoned by the establishment. So no, it's not. I don't think it's fair to call Cruz a neocon blankly. I think it would have been fair 10 years ago, but right now he was abandoned by the establishment last year in terms of funding. They sent all their money to Larry Hogan, but they didn't try to help Ted Cruz in Texas, which some people can argue, he was always going to get it. It was always going to be fine. But I think that just was not, if he was fully in step with the establishment, that wouldn't make any sense. I actually think Ted Cruz is on the MAGA side. He's just has bad opinions. He has bad opinions on certain subjects. At the end of the day, yeah. We were going to talk about the actual thing I wanted to talk about. I just was explaining the comic real quick. AIPAC funding. So in the interview between Ted Cruz and Tucker, the conversation does actually end up popping up about Ted Cruz and him being funded to the note of like $2 million, $2.1 million by an Israeli lobbying group. And the arguments that he made against that, about him being funded, were, number one, well, it doesn't really matter. Who cares? Everybody's cynical. Everybody works in their self-interest. The United States and Israel have all these self-interests. And Tucker brought up, well, the problem with that is essentially they're not treated as a foreign lobbying group, but they are a foreign lobbying group. They lobby for the interests of a foreign country. Why do they not have to register just like everybody else? And Cruz was saying, well, no, they're not a foreign lobbying group. They have Israel in their name, but they're not a foreign lobbying group, which I thought was hilarious. I was like bawling my eyes out listening to it. So and then when Tucker's like, so the logical question that follows that, oh, they're not a lobbying group for Israel. The preceding question should be something like, well, what do they lobby for? And Tucker asks that. He says, what does AIPAC lobby for? And Ted Cruz says, oh, not a lot. Not a lot. On verbatim, he says, not a lot, dismissively. So it's just $2 million for, not nothing much. I don't really do anything for AIPAC. I just get money from them. They give me money, and they just. Yeah, Mateo, I don't understand why Iran talks so much crap and pumps themselves up. I think it actually makes them look weaker when they do that. I think that this would probably be a better time to pretend to be the frail, oppressed country. But third worldists can never figure out exactly how they want to portray themselves. They have to like inflate their own egos to feel good about themselves, but then they also have to like appear as weak. It's really weird. Man, no. At the end of the day, I keep saying that. At the end of the day, I need to stop that. But no, there was more funny stuff going on in that interview. But at the end of the day, Ted Cruz was just really, really not handling himself well. I think what could happen in the future is that all of these positions and everybody's kind of understanding of the situation merges together depending on how Trump handles this. If Trump gets the deal done, it's the best thing in the world, right? We're in the golden age again. After a very brief break, we're back in the golden age if Trump can get the silly Iranians into a deal. But we have a bunch of conflicting reports. I saw someone in chat earlier repeating a news report I saw over and over again yesterday, which was like, in the next 24 to 48 hours, Trump will decide if he's going to strike Iran. Okay. I heard that over the last weekend. I heard that in Monday. It obviously didn't happen Monday, but you keep hearing 24, 48 hours. Something's going to happen. It seems like the news has like run out of things to lie about. So now they're just like teasing us. Something will happen in 1 to 2 days. Keep your eyes peeled. I don't know if you guys are tired of that. I'm pretty tired of that, of just having the news repeatedly lie. And it doesn't matter from who. It's MSM, it's Fox, it's the Iranian state media, it's the Israeli government and the Israeli state media. Every single news outlet just is posting lies. And Trump did actually point this out. Actually, let me see if I can pull that up for you guys real quick, because that was something that happened this morning. Trump put out a Truth Social explicitly condemning the Wall Street Journal. I'm sure you guys already saw it, but it was actually very straightforward. The Wall Street Journal has no idea what my thoughts are on concerning Iran. And so this was posted in the morning, and the WSJ was one of the outlets saying that he was going to strike in a day or two. Trump has decided that he is going to be unpredictable. And part of being unpredictable to Iran means being unpredictable to us. And that's just something we have to accept. I think we have to accept that we don't know what's going to happen. I'm not part of Nothing Ever Happens crew. I'm just part of Wait and See crew. And I'm also very much part of, I'm going to trust Trump right now. I know you guys have been seeing me. I know it's been hard. I know some of you guys are having a hard time, but I genuinely see in the negotiations, in the way Trump's been handling this over the past few days, he's working for us and he's trying to figure out what's in our best interest. And that's what's important to me. If we do strike, I hope it's quick. I hope we get it over with. Just throw that bunker buster or whatever on the mountain, get rid of that other nuclear facility, and let's see if we can get out of this quickly and easily. But that whole situation does make me very nervous. The intervention in itself is something that could cause destabilization. So we just have to see. We have to see what happens. But I think the cleanest strike that we can do will be the best case scenario if we do choose to intervene. And I'm allowing that to happen. I'm mentally allowing that to happen. I don't like it. I don't like what could happen, but let's hope for the best regardless.
I'm also just going to say right now, a lot of you guys are going to say, oh, I'm going to be done with Trump after this. We've been in his second administration for less than half a year. And guess what, guys? They're going to call continuation of the past 4 years.
Tyrone, you were so close to the mic that it was, it wasn't going through.
Yeah, okay. I'm just going to remind you all here that the alternative is who they ran in 24. Are you really going to vote for that? Are you really going to allow one war with Iran, which probably won't last long and won't amount to anything? Soil 26. There are more valid reasons to be upset with the Republican Party right now. Like, for example, the big bloated bill, the disgusting fucking bloated bill. Fuck you, Mike Lee. Then there is being mad at Trump for fucking Iran. Unless there's boots on the ground, it's not really that much of a reason to get upset, relatively speaking, compared to other shit going on. And you still need to keep in mind, we're only less than half a year into his administration, and the opposition is already saying they're going to start running Kamala again. So take from that what you guys will.
Right. I was seeing some breaking news in the chat. It looks like during the press conference, Caroline Leavitt might have said something. I was trying to look for a clip of it, but I'm guessing the person that said it was directly... okay, they were probably directly... Well, I do see this. A message to the Panicans. Trust in President Trump. President Trump has incredible instincts. President Trump kept America and the world safe in his first term as president. That was from Caroline Leavitt. That's the thing being posted right now from Rapid Response 47. What exactly would a deal with Iran need to entail? No enrichment of uranium, and Iran is absolutely not able to achieve a nuclear weapon. Let's see. Okay, so she is confirming. Here, I'm pulling this up for you guys. Take a look. We got some breaking news, guys. As for correspondence between the United States and Iranians, I can confirm correspondence has continued. We were engaged in 6 rounds of negotiations in both indirect and direct ways. Continue praying for that. So they're still going in Oman. It looks like this other stuff was regarding the big, beautiful bill. Oh, here we go. President's press secretary shares a message from Trump. Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision on whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. So it sounds like currently they're corresponding, but they haven't re-begun negotiations. So we will be waiting for the actual official negotiations to begin, but they have been corresponding. Looks like the channels are opening back up, which is all really good news for us. It probably means that nothing ever happens. We'll be reigning king for a week or two. I doubt we would strike their bunker, whatever it is, down there under the mountain while this is going on. So that is very good news for us. K-Cup for 5, we need to remember these things take time. If Trump didn't fix every single problem in year 1 of his first term, he did not. It'll be okay. Just trust Trump. Yeah, I'm kind of on the same place. Didn't Luke say that Trump's entire admin will be a cycle of it's so over, we're so back in March? This sounds like another cycle. Riley, I really hope you're right. I really hope that that's exactly what we're going through. What I'll say is none of us are getting off the Trump train. At the end of the day, we're waiting for what happens. And once that's over, we'll either live with whatever bad thing happens, or we'll all celebrate the good. We'll be in a golden age. But again, the world doesn't revolve around foreign policy. It doesn't revolve around all of this. There will be a lot of other things to celebrate, a lot of wonderful things to experience. And as far as everything else is going, it looks like we're going in the right direction with immigration. Looks like that we pushed the letter back on that. In regards to everything else, law and order, crime, the country is looking like it's taking a turn. We also had that graph that came out. I don't have it ready. We might talk about it a little bit tomorrow. We had a graph showing the blue collar job wage growth has grown once again. And in the bar chart, it shows every single presidency, whether blue collar job growth grew or shrank in any particular administration. Every single admin, it shrank. In George H.W., in Reagan, in W. Bush, in Obama, in Clinton, it was all going down. Obama might have had it go down just barely, like 0.3, I think, but it still went down. The only administrations in the past half century where blue collar wage growth went up was Nixon, Trump 1, and Trump 2. It is shocking, and that's just kind of proof that what Donald Trump is doing for the country genuinely benefits that middle class tax bracket, the people that are the actual backbone of the country. So we'll be able to talk about more of that tomorrow. Let's see. I simp for Stephen Miller. I think we all simp for Stephen Miller, man. If you don't simp for Stephen Miller, I think you might not be MAGA.
Oh, Talmudic Network sends its regards.
The Stephen Miller network. It's not Talmudic anymore. It's the Miller Network. Okay, the Miller. I'm actually going to have Stephen Miller change his name to Jimmer. Because he's a Jim, and he also posts Jims. So he's just Stephen Jimmer. He's a Jimmy guy. Breaking news: Trump's announced an Iranian alliance to combat Indian scammers. I'll take whatever help we can get with that. If we can get rid of the Indian scammers, or just block them off the internet. Is there a way to block India off the internet? Do you guys know? Okay. Well, anyways, looks like we're ready to wrap up the stream. Otherwise, I would have done a last call for super chats, but it's just I'm a bit out of it. Before the stream started, I had an incident where I crushed my leg, and I crushed the leg that's hurt. And that's part of why, if you thought I was weird today, I took a bunch of pain pills right before I got on because I was in intense pain right before we got on. But otherwise, I do hope you guys enjoyed the stream with Tyrone. It was a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to have you guys hear his glorious black voice once again.
It was nice being here.
Yeah.
Except not really because I hate you, but yeah.
Yeah, I hate you too. Well, guys. Degenerate. Oh my goodness. Oh. How dare you? How dare you? No. But anyways, W Tyrone is in the chat. You have to know, people love you. I know. We will be here tomorrow. I know you guys are looking for Rap. I promise Rap is not gone. We're still waiting on some information on his personal stuff. But once he gets,
I'm just gonna say it outright. He is handling some very important stuff regarding his personal information and privacy. Respect him. Respect his space. Respect the fact that he's not going to be here for a bit. He'll be back sooner than later. Just give him the space, and don't go on Twitter and bother him or anything, guys. He'll be back soon. Don't worry. Calm down.
That's the important thing. We are actively talking to him, and he's
alive.
He is alive. He's working on some things. Have a wonderful, blessed rest of your evening. All right, or evening? It's afternoon. Have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. Godspeed to all of you.
And a happy new year.